Okay, just want to show you this pistol which I bought a weekend or so ago, and well, basically I bought it in Cheshire off a antique dealer, and he had just had it returned to him from the police department. They'd been in, and someone had reported him for having guns in his antique shop. Of course, you can have antique guns in an antique shop. There's no law against that. So basically they took them away for several days and brought them back. Now basically he was trying to sell me this, or he was selling me this as a American revolver. Now I looked at it and I thought, it doesn't really look like the machining of an American made Colt revolver. Of course there were probably some companies that were copying the Colt revolver. Whether there was anyone copying them in America at the time, I'm not sure, but certainly in other countries they were copying the Navy pistol, which this is. It's the Navy pocket pistol. Now my initial thoughts were, well, it's here in Europe, it's probably a cheap copy, so it's going to be Belgium. So that's my initial thought. So I asked him, I said, is it Belgium, is it? And he said, no, it's American. Anyway, so I held judgment on that, and I picked it up for a fair price. I got it back, well actually I went on somewhere else. I went into Knutsford in Cheshire, and I went and saw an antique dealer there, and I showed him this just out of interest, just to see what he thought of it, and he said straight away he knew of the gun, and he said it's a dodgy one. I know of I know the gun, and it's not real, basically, he said. Now, okay, I wasn't going to argue with him. Basically, you can see it's got some replacement screws in the frame here, which are fairly new compared to the rough condition of the rest of the gun. Now, the cylinder would have a roll pressed ship scene or something along those lines. I'm not sure on the short barreled version, but certainly on the Navy, which is this here, this is a Pieta Colt Navy deactivated replica. It has this scene of ships running around it. Now I suspect that the Pieta, sorry, the Belgian one had something else, but I don't know what. You can see the remains of it on the cylinder. This is a 36 caliber. That is the 44 caliber Pieta. You can see it's got the step in the cylinder, and the bore's 44. Now obviously this is a brass frame, this is a steel frame. Now it's had a lot of wear. As I say, the guy said they just didn't make them like this. It's not a real. So, not a real what? Not a real American revolver. Yeah, I agree. Anyway, I wasn't going to get into an argument over it, because the thing is, Belgium firearms, they were made in lots of sub-factories in Belgium. So just because it would be sold by one company and it might have a name on it for that company, it might have actually been produced in a small offshoot factory. This isn't even serial numbered up, but it could be that they've been filed off at a later date. But it could be that this is a very early copy. There are differences in the barrel design. This is pretty true to a proper Colt Navy. Now you see how the barrel there flows down straight and onto the frame just here. I don't know if I'm describing that particularly well, but this one is different. You can see there's a small gap here and there's a large gap here, so there's a big obvious difference. Now I don't know about the cylinders on the Pieta, whether they're true to being real, but the cylinder on the Belgian pistol is longer, about 4mm longer. So basically, where you've got this little piece of the barrel which protrudes forward there and meets the cylinder, on here, on the Belgian one, it doesn't. This piece of metal here is almost straight up. You see, you can see the difference. Now, what makes me say this is Belgium? Once I got it home, I did some checks, and it's got a proof mark on the barrel. It's got an R with a crown over it, which is a Belgian proof mark. It's also got a little R with a star over the top of it, which is also Belgium. Now I'm suspecting this is possibly pre-Colt brevet. What the Colt brevet is basically Colt came over to London for the, what would it be? I can't think what the event was. I will put it up in a pop-up because my memory's failing me right this moment. And once he came over here to London, to Europe, he realised that his revolvers were being copied in Belgium, and I think he pretty much realised he wasn't going to stand much of a chance at stopping them doing it. So what he did was he allowed them to make them under licence, and they became known as the Colt brevet, which was the Belgian-made Colt pistol. Very much like China would be doing today with everything, copying everything. The Belgians were copying the guns, and they still do make guns these days. They copy lots of stuff, but they do it fairly legally and open and above board. Unlike some other companies, like I know China are probably doing things. Come on, out the way, Stella, get off the pistols. Yeah, so anyway, I just thought I'd show you this. Little point is, it's not just a couple of years old and someone stuck it in the ground to age it. It's actually nickel plated, and I think at some time it's had a nasty experience, possibly a multi-chamber discharge, because the frame's actually been split right through here between those two screws there, and if you look on the other side of the frame, it's actually split just past that second screw there. See, basically that is your fracturing point there on the frame. So it's split and someone's brazed it. Then, bearing in mind it had a lot of wear on the gun, someone's then re-nickel plated it over the brazing. So you can see little signs of the brass through the nickel plate. See there where the nickel plate's just rubbed off by the end of my fingernail. It's also had some brazing work possibly done on here, unless this back strap is brass. and nickel plated. I would have to potentially take a file to it. See, I'm not seeing any signs of brass showing through the nickel plate anywhere else, just here. I think you can see that. You can see a little patch of brass which looks like it's had some brazing work done. You know, it could be that this frame is actually a brass frame and being nickel plated, but I don't think so, because you can obviously see a repair running through there. So I think it's steel with some brazing work. So, you know, this is not a fireable pistol. Look at the play in the cylinder. There is just no way you would try. You would have to be mentally dysfunctional to try firing that. It's got a lot of wear. The mechanism doesn't work properly. The cylinder locks don't work. Watch. You know, it's got a lot of wear in the mechanism. It's not flipping over. You know, and the lock points, looks like someone's had a go with a Dremel tool to try and clean them up, try and make them function a bit better, but they've just got a lot of wear in them. You know, it's basically just a wall hanger antique, but it could date to mid 1800s. Not really certain what model this is, whether it's is it the 1852? There's an 1852 and an 1860 something. I'm not sure exactly on the model variations, but having said that, this is a Belgium copy, so it could be anything. It's a total mongrel. It's just the Belgian version of a Colt Navy. It's what they produced. You can see this angle here in the loading, in the priming port area here. You can see how angular that is. Now if you compare that to this Pieta copy, where it's really curved and smooth, there's a big difference. Basically Italy make a lot of the copies these days, so this just isn't an Italian copy, and it's not some sort of Chinese knockoff or some sort of Indian thing. It's a proper antique pistol made by the Belgians at the same time as Colt was making them. It's a Belgian knockoff, but anyway, it's got the history. It was probably knocking around, maybe knocking around London at the time of Jack the Ripper. So you're talking about that sort of period. You know, nice piece, I think. Not a bad little find.